Hello dear students, welcome to the lecture series on botany. For today's lecture, our topic is taxonomy and diversity of Lamiaceae. Dear students, you might have heard the words like mint, sage, thyme or basil. All these names are basically the spices that make our food tasty. You might have also heard about the word like lavender or the rose oil, which make our perfume industry. Do you know all these plants, whether on one side spices like mint or the perfumes like lavender, they belong to a single botanical family called as Lamiaceae. So let us today discuss this family Lamiaceae. In this lecture, these aspects of the family Lamiaceae will be discussed. Number 1, taxonomy. Second, systematic position. Number 3, phylogeny. 4th, diversity. And the 5th, economic importance. So let us start with taxonomy. The Lamiaceae is commonly known as mint family. The family was first established as a formal taxonomic category under the name not Lamiaceae but Labiati by A.L. de Gisu, a French botanist. Later on, Lamiaceae, which is the present name, as an alternate family name, was given by Martin Low. It is based on the scientific name of the type genus Lamium. The term Lamium is basically a Latin word which means gullet, because the shape of the corolla tube in the Lamiaceae is just like a gullet. Why we had the need for an alternate family name Lamiaceae? Because it was already given the name Labiati by A.L. de Gisu. This alternate family name was necessitated due to the typification rule of International Code of Botanical Nomenclature. At the same time, the earlier name, that is Labiati, was also conserved because this Labiati name was widely used in the scientific circles. Now let us discuss the unique features of this family Lamiaceae. The members are distinctive in being either herbs or shrubs. They are often aromatic with ethereal oils. They are also having stems which are four-sided. The leaves are opposite and the inflorescence is characteristically a type called as verticillaster. The flowers are zygomorphic and usually bilabiate. Ovary is superior and the style is gynobasic. And lastly, the fruit is a schizocarp of 4 separate nutlets. After discussing these unique features about the family Lamiaceae, now let us discuss the taxonomy in detail, starting with its habit. The members of the family Lamiaceae, they are either annual or perennial herbs. Examples are the common salvia or the lamium, or they can be even shrubs, what we see in Rose marinis, or recently few more genera have been added to the family Lamiaceae. That's why we can have habit a tree-like. The common example is Tectona. The root in the case of Lamiaceae is a taproot system. The stem is here quadrilateral. What is this quadrilateral? That means it is four-sided. When we cut a cross section of the stem, it has a squarish shape. The stem is often associated with phytochemicals like iridoids and the phenolic glycosides. The stem is usually hairy with short-stalked glandular trichomes. These trichomes, they produce the aromatic ethereal oils. Sometimes we see the stems are associated with non-glandular hairs, but they are always multicellular and uniseriate. Sometimes we have also the suckers. Stems assume the shape of suckers. The example is mentha, or they can assume the shape of stolons. The common example is ajuga, or they can become green and then have an assimilatory function. The example is here Hedyoma. Now leaves. The leaves in Lamiaceae, they are usually opposite in arrangement and they show a pattern called as decussate. They can be occasionally whorled or very rarely even spiral. The leaves are without stipules, that's why it is called as exstipulate. The leaves are simple, very rarely they can be either pinnately or palmately compound, but those instances are very rare. The individual leaf blade is often lobed, or it can be even highly dissected. The leaf margins, they are entire to serrate. The leaves are usually aromatic and sometimes they can be even reduced. Example as already mentioned is Hedyoma. Now discussing the floral morphology of Lamiaceae, starting with inflorescence. The inflorescence is here a unique type of inflorescence called as verticillaster. What is this verticillaster? It's a type of inflorescence which consists of an indeterminate main axis and then the determinate, which are simultaneously branched lateral axes. And these lateral axes, they are congested and form a pseudo whorl. Occasionally in some taxa of Lamiaceae, we have thrice also as inflorescence, or very rare occurrence is the solitary axillary flowers. Now the flower. The flower is either bracteate, the most common occurrence. The example is here the coleus, or it can be even be bracteate. The example here is the common salvia. The flowers are also bracteolate. They are bisexual and mostly zygomorphic. As I mentioned, the flowers are bilabiate. That's why bilabiate means two-lipped. That's why it is zygomorphic. And the flower is also here the hypogynous. Now discussing the individual parts of the flower, starting with the outer whorl called as calyx. Calyx comprises of 5 sepals which are fused together, called as syncephalous. The calyx is usually bilabiate, that means two-lipped. These two-lipped lips can be formed by these 5 sepals. They can be in different arrangements. They can be 1 by 4, that means one lip by one sepal and second lip by 4 sepals. The example is ocimum. Or they can have the arrangement, these 2 lips can have the arrangement called as 3 by 2. Example is salvia. The calyx is often tubular, that means a tube-like, or it can be bell or wheel-shaped. The calyx is here characteristically, a characteristic feature of Lamiaceae is that the sepals are persistent and sometimes they are enlarged in their fruits. Now the corolla. Corolla comprises of 5 petals, but rarely there are some taxa where we have only 4 petals. They are again fused, that's why called as sympatalous. The aestivation of corolla is imbricate. Again, the corolla is usually bilabiate, and the arrangement of these 2 lips also differ between different plant species. It can be 4 by 1 in the case of ocimum, or it can be 2 by 3. Example is salvia. The upper lip, it can sometimes be completely absent, as we see in the case of Echuca, or very rarely it can be four-lobed. The example is Pogocytomon. Now the male part of the flower, that is androecium. It comprises of stamens which are usually 4 in number. Again, the androecium, it shows an arrangement called as didynamous, and sometimes it can be reduced into 2 fertile stamens and 2 stem nodes. The common occurrence of these 2 fertile stamens and 2 stem nodes is in the salvia. The androecium is epipetalous, that means the stamens, they are adnate to the corolla tube. The filaments of these stamens, they are free, and the connective is split in the case of salvia, by which the anthers, they get separated. One anther lobe forms a fertile lobe, and another anther lobe, it forms a sterile lobe. The anthers, they are dorsifixed, and also they are introse. The anthers, they are unilocular to bilocular, and again they are tetrasporangiate. The dehiscence here is longitudinal. The pollen grains are tricolpate or sometimes hexacolpate. Now the female part of the flower, called as gynoecium, it comprises of just 2 carpels, and these 2 carpels, they are fused, a condition called as syncarpus. The ovary is here superior and it is bilocular. This bilocular ovary is with 2 ovules in each locule, but it appears as a 4-locular. Why? Because during the development there is a existence of a false septum, a false margin within a single ovule, which makes it 2 ovules. The ovules, they are attached to the sides of the false septa. The ovules, they are anatropous, unitegemic and tenuinuciliate. The placentation here in Lamiaceae is characteristically axile. The style is solitary, often apically double branched. That means we have 2 branched style. It is gynobasic, and very rarely it can be also terminal. Example is here Echuca. Now the stigmas, they are 2, and always they are papillate. They are tiny, inconspicuous at apices of style branches. The nectaries in the case of Lamiaceae, they are present at gynoecium, where they are present as a disc, or they can be present as a pad of tissue at the base of ovary. Now fruit. The fruit in Lamiaceae, it is a schizocarp which splits into 4 nutlets. In some cases of species of Lamiaceae, we can have a drupe as fruit or an indehiscent 4-seeded pod. The seeds within the fruit, they are with a straight embryo. Endosperm is always lacking. That's why we call this seeds in Lamiaceae as ex-albuminous. Now let us discuss the pollination in Lamiaceae. The showy flowers of Lamiaceae are pollinated by various types of insects like bees, wasps, butterflies, moths, beetles, or even birds. The arching upper lip of the bilabiate corolla, it usually protects the stamens and stigma, while the lower lip, it provides a landing platform where the pollinators can land. Because it is often showy, that's why pollinators get attracted and land at this lower lip. During this landing on the landing platform of the lower lip, the pollinator is dusted with pollen on its back or even on its head as it probes for nectar. In genera like Ocimum and their relatives, the stamens lie close to the lower lip and deposit pollen on the underside of the pollinator. In the case of Salvia, the stamens are highly modified. How they are highly modified? Here, the connective is expanded and forms a lever arm that is involved in pollination. The pollinators here are mostly either insects or birds. Most species in Lamiaceae, they are proandrous and outcrossing. Some of the species of Lamium, they have clistogamous flowers and therefore they are selfers. Now let us discuss the fruit dispersal. The calyx in Lamiaceae, it is conspicuous in fruit and it forms an integral part of the dispersal mechanism. This calyx can be brightly colored in order to attract the frugivores, and it forms a kind of catapult mechanism as we commonly see in Secutillaria, or we can have a wing. The species wherein we have a drupe fruit, they are usually dispersed by either birds or mammals. In many species where we have the nutlets as fruits, they are merely shaken from the persistent calyx by the action of either wind or water. The nutlets may also be eaten by birds or they get dispersed by water. Another type of fruit dispersal called as mixocarpy, wherein the nutlets produce mucilage and thus get adhered to their disperser. Mixocarpy is common in a subfamily called as Nipitoideae, while the large genera such as Lamium, Teucrium may have Myrmecochorus nutlets. Now let us discuss the systematic position of Lamiaceae, starting with the two British botanists' classification by the name of Bentham Hooker. These two British botanists, they classified Lamiaceae under the class Dicotyledons, subclass Gamopetalae, series Bicarpellatae, and the order Lamiales. Then Cronquist classified it at the division Magnoliophyta, class Magnoliopsida, subclass Asteridae, and the order Lamiales. Takhtajan, an evolutionary taxonomist, classified Lamiaceae under the division Magnoliophyta, that means retaining the division of Cronquist, again class Magnoliopsida, subclass Lamidae, that means now incorporating a separate subclass. Cronquist had given Asteridae, now the Takhtajan has given it the subclass Lamidae, again incorporating one more rank by the name of superorder as Lamiinae, order same way, that is the Lamiales. Dahlgren, a taxonomist, classified it under the class Magnoliopsida, subclass Magnolidae, superorder Laminae, and the order Lamiales. Robert Thorne, an American taxonomist, classified it under the class Angiospermae, not Magnoliopsida, class Angiospermae, subclass Lamidae, superorder Laminae, and the order Lamiales. And very recently, the Angiosperm phylogeny group have classified it under the clade Eudicots, subclade Eurosites 1, and the order Lamiales. Now let us discuss the phylogeny of family Lamiaceae. The family is considered to be monophyletic. What is the basis for its recognition as monophyletic is that they have laterally attached ovules, and also the molecular data based on whether RBCL gene or NDHF gene. Both these molecular evidences, they favor the monophyly of family Lamiaceae. The phylogenetic relationships within the order Lamiales, that is the order under which the family Lamiaceae is classified, is supported by a broader circumscription. This Lamiales is now recognized as sensu-lato. Many other genera which were previously placed in the family Verbinaceae, they have now been shifted to the family Lamiaceae. Genera like Clerodendron, Vitex, Tectuna, etc. These are the characters on the basis of which it can be distinguished from Verbinaceae. The Lamiaceae has deeply four-lobed ovary, and the style in Lamiaceae is terminal to gynobasic, while as in the case of Verbinaceae, the ovary is not deeply but moderately four-lobed, and here In the case of Verbenaceae, the style is consistently terminal. Although Lamiaceae and Boraginaceae is one more family, they have been always considered distinct, very separate families. But at the same time, they are similar in having they share some characters like gynobasic styles. Both Lamiaceae and Boraginaceae have gynobasic styles. And also in both these families, the fruits have 4 separate nutlets. That is why in majority of the classification systems, they are placed very close to each other. There are numerous differences, although they are sharing many characters, Lamiaceae and Boraginaceae, but there are many characters on the basis of which they are distinct. These characters are like their phytochemistry, leaf insertion, floral symmetry, and ovule morphology. Also, the radicle in Boraginaceae points upwards in their fruit, while as in the case of Lamiaceae, it points downwards. Several monophyletic groups can be distinguished within the family Lamiaceae. Ajugoideae, or sometimes it is called as Tichuridae. This can be considered as a monophyletic group, or nowadays we recognize it as a subfamily. The basis for recognition of Ajugoideae as a separate clade or subfamily is that their drupes are having 4 pits. Also, they have non-persistent styles. Again, one more character in Ajugoideae is that the pollen grains are branched to granular columns. Again, this Ajugoideae clade includes common genera like Calicarpa, Clerodendrum, Tichurium, Ajuga, and other relatives. Another monophyletic group in addition to Ajugoideae is Secutellaridae. It is recognized on the basis of characters like rounded calyx lobes and the nutlets with tuberculate or plumose outgrowths. This Secutellaridae includes genera like Secutellaria and their relatives. 2 more monophyletic groups can be recognized within the family Lamiaceae, namely Lamioideae and Nipitoideae. These together may constitute another monophyletic group, as both have completely gynobasic styles. The monophyly of Nipitoideae, one of the subclade, it includes common genera like Nipita, Mentha, Ocimum, Origanum, Prunella, Salvia, Lavandula, or even Thymus. Its monophyly is supported in having hexacolpate pollens, and also this Nipitoideae, it lacks iridoids, and also the DNA data supports its monophyletic origin. On the other hand, the monophyly of Lamioideae, which includes genera like Lamium, Marubium, and Pogocytomon, is strongly supported by molecular data. Very recently, the molecular evidences from genes like ORBCL and NDHF data have supported the placement of subfamily Lamioideae in a separate clade with already discussed subfamilies like Secutellaridae and Ajugoideae. And Nipitoideae is now recognized as sister either to Cleanthoideae or Calicarpa. 2 more groups can be recognized within the family Lamiaceae. Number 1 is Viticoideae and one more is Cloanthoideae. However, both these subfamilies, they are polyphyletic. The Viticoideae, it includes genera like Premina and their relatives, while as the Cloanthoideae has characters like branched hairs, and it includes common genera like Tectona. Dear students, now let us discuss the diversity of the family Lamiaceae. At present, the family Lamiaceae is represented by about 250 genera having more than 7,000 species. The topmost species-rich genera in Lamiaceae is Salvia, which has 800 species throughout the world. Then followed by Hyptis and Clerodendrum, each having 400 species. Then Thymus having 350 species, followed by 3 genera, Plectranthus, Secutellaria, and Stachys, each of these having 300 species. Then Nipita and Vitex, each having 250 species, followed by 2 more genera, Tichurium and Premina, having 200 species. Then Callicarpa and Ocimum, each having 150 species. And lastly, the Lamium, the type genus, having 50 species. Members of this family Lamiaceae, they show a worldwide distribution, but their center of diversity, that means most diverse, this family is in the Mediterranean region. Now let us discuss the economic importance of family Lamiaceae. The members of the Lamiaceae, they are of great economic importance, in especially their aromatic plants. Some of these uses are like this. Many species, they are commercially valuable for their use in cooking and flavoring, such as spearmint, scientific name Mentha spicata, peppermint, Mentha piperata, thyme, Thymus vulgaris, or the sweet basil, Ocimum basilicum, or the sage, scientific name Salvia officinalis. These are the various species of Lamiaceae which are used as spice. The tubers of many species of Lamiaceae, such as Stachys, they are edible and are used as food plants. Popular fragrant plants like lavender, scientific name Lavandula angustifolia, or the rosemary, Rosmarinus officinalis, they belong to the family Lamiaceae. Several members of the family, they are cultivated as common ornamentals. Ornamental plants in Lamiaceae are sages, Salvia, beauty berry, Callicarpa, Chinese hat plant, Holmescoidea, Loin's ear, Leonitis, bee balm, Monarda, mountain mint, Pycnanthemum, suckle cap, Scutularia, or the monk's pepper, Vitex. These are some of the notable ornamental plants in the family Lamiaceae. Teak, very important timber plant, scientific name Tectona grandis, is an important tree that is widely used in construction and furniture industry. This teak belongs to family Lamiaceae. Then the basil, the scientific name Ocimum sanctum, is considered as a sacred plant by Hindus in India. Dear students, with this we come to the end of today's lecture that was on the topic taxonomy and diversity of Lamiaceae. Hope you have enjoyed today's lecture. See you again with some another topic. Till then, goodbye.